Hello, everyone. It is your boy, Larry Howard, Coach Proof, Director of Strength and Conditioning here at DePaul University. And we are here again with another episode of the AAPCA podcast. Today, I have a very special individual on this call. Just to share with you in full transparency some of the things that this person has meant to me and my trajectory. Much of where I'm at today is I would attribute to a divine connection with this individual. He introduced me to my mentor, who then, got me opportunities in my first head job to now transition me here. This is the laugh coach. Let me tell you, man, this guy is funny. He is a comedian. He is a jack of several trades. This guy will have you rolling and then have you doing up, downs, and burpees at the same time. He has been in several different places. He has served at University of North Texas. He's had opportunities to serve as the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Howard. He has worked in the XFL. He has worked in the United States Armed Forces as a strength coach. He has served with the Minnesota Vikings in sports science as an assistant strength coach. He also served with the Miami Dolphins in several roles, including return to play, strength and conditioning. This man has years and years and years of experience, knowledge, expertise. He has gone through some true challenges and overcome them. My boy, everybody needs to know, Coach, Laugh Coach, Josh Woods. How you doing, my guy?
Man, what an intro right there. Blessings, 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 blessings. Nah, man, I'm doing great, man. Thank you for inviting me uh onto your podcast on behalf of the AAPCA. I'm grateful to be here.
And Coach Woods is a board member of the APCA. He's been instrumental in building what it is that we're trying to do in terms of communicating with our community. So obviously we pay homage and respect to you. Coach, I want to get into just some things personal, and then we'll talk a little shop, and then we'll talk about where you're at. There have been a lot of challenges that you've gone through in your life. And I think that, and I know we're jumping right into the deep end, and that's okay. I'm cool with that. I want to discuss how you have overcome adversity. I think that that's been a huge thing that we have talked about personally. I know it's something that you talked about with my staff, my interns at different conferences that I've seen you at. Would you be able to share with people just some of what you've gone through, how it's molded you in the things that you're doing now, both in comedy as well as in strength and conditioning?
Yeah, man. Again, thank you for having me on here. And the way we met was through some adverse situations as well. Back when COVID was around and lurking, I was working in the XFL at the time, and then COVID came, ran rapid, and shut down our league, shut down the NBA. And at that time, we had a little window of uncertainty. Nobody knew what we were going to do, was coaches going to come back. That was probably my biggest, besides this year, my biggest challenge and adversity that I've seen in my career, not having a job when COVID happened. And I'm an outside the box person, man. I don't like to just stay in one lane. That's always been my Achilles heel, and also one of my greatest strengths is I'm very multidimensional. And at this time, I think it was Clubhouse was
Clubhouse.
was
I don't know if it's still going on. Shout
a
out to
thing.
Clubhouse. It was
Yeah,
man, that was popping when we was
it was
inside.
popping. It was popping, man. Clubhouse was popping. I think I met you on Clubhouse, and then you wanted to get into strength and conditioning, and you hit me up. And listen, I believe the people that's been mentors for me have always preached, make sure you reach back and help someone else get to where they want to go. And that's all I tried to do with you, and introduce you to some good people. And look at you now, man. You crushing it. So I'm
Crazy.
proud of you, man. I'm proud
I
of you, because
appreciate that.
that was 2020, a long time ago. But losing a job is hard. 2020, I lost it because of COVID. That was a different thing. And I pivoted, and went to the tactical route and served in the U.S. Army, which I enjoyed my time doing that as a tactical strength coach in El Paso, Texas. And then this year has been different, not getting renewed for my second contract. I got one contract renewal, so I did 3 seasons in Miami. and we were all uncertain what was going to happen at the end of it. This is kind of how it goes in the NFL. You're waiting to see if your contract's going to be renewed January 31st. It gets around to February 3rd. We haven't heard anything. I'm like, okay, I guess we're good. I don't know. Let me pay my rent for this month, right? Pay that rent for that month, and hopefully you keep having months. And unfortunately, conversation was had that day, February the 3rd, that, hey, we got to make some changes around here. We didn't make the playoffs. When you don't make the playoffs in the NFL, call a spade a spade. Changes are going to happen because those organizations want to win. And unfortunately, I was a part of the change this past year. Me and about two of other of my coworkers, we got let go. We weren't retained through this previous season, and I moved back home. And my uncle has a thriving gym here in the Carolinas for about 20, 25 years. He's been running it. And I came home and I was like, man, I want to spend time with my daughters. I have three daughters. So I was like, you know what? Let me just take the rest of this year. It's February. It's hard to find a job in college or pro in February. So everybody's already rolling. So I missed that window, and just being out of it, man, it was, challenging. It makes you question yourself sometimes. It makes you question what are you doing, your beliefs. And I'm just glad I have so many people around me, and I got great mentors. I got great resources. I never burnt a bridge anywhere I've been. So, I'm grateful I could reach out to people here and there and things. So it's been a good season of slowing down and just really enjoying where I'm at in my career with about 13 years of experience in at a high level. I've been going nonstop. As you can see my resume, the post I just put up the other day. I mean, I've been going since 2013. Since I've been a player, I haven't had a year off from anything. So having this year off, man, it was really good for me, man. At first it was scary, and then I kind of settled into it, and then I kind of just be where your feet at. I dove into being here. I dove into my comedy. It took off. It did really great. I went on tour with a comedian that has 9 million followers, Desi Banks, very popular, very known comedian. I opened for him probably about 4 or 5 times at his shows. We did two theaters, like 2,000 people in the seats, man. And it's such I don't think people understand how the parallels between public speaking and stand-up comedy, and the pauses and the crowd control. All these things kind of help me and navigate me to be a better communicator, which I already was a strong communicator in the areas of sports science and sports performance. But this just gave me something different to talk about, which is me and my life, things I've been through. So it's been a very challenging but rewarding season in that sense.
That's awesome, man.
And I'm looking forward to what's next.
I'm looking forward to it too. I mean, I think one of the things that you mentioned that I really love is that you're your authentic self. You're not boxed in. When you think
Mhm.
coach, you don't think comedian. It's actually funny because when you look at you look at some of the social media posts about some of the coaches that are currently playing and how they have very stern faces, and some of our Hall of Fame coaches is this stern presence.
Mhm.
I'm not really laughing, not really joking, all those other things. So when you think of a strength coach, you don't always think, oh man, this guy's gonna have me rolling and cracking up, in the middle of sets. But I think what it does is it creates variance in a space so that people know, like, hey, I can be myself. I don't have to necessarily be this to do this. I can be something. I can be what is true and authentic to me. And I commend you for that. Talk to me about right now. You know, you're navigating this world of being kind of in the market, right? What things are you going through now? I kind of want to expand on that, because what we are seeing, typically, at least in football, we have not really seen the turnover cycle in basketball because we're not close to the end of that season yet. But in football, we're seeing tons of coaches, both at the collegiate and NFL level. The carousel is definitely moving. So in that, there are probably a lot of coaches that are seeing changes at the drop of a dime. How has that worked in your life? How has it been being one day you could be rolling in one spot, and then the next day you got to get up, got to go to the next spot, or moving in one space, knowing that the ground can literally fall from under you and you move on and you have to pivot in that space? How have you navigated that? And how are you navigating that now?
Question, man. Just staying grounded in who you are. That's really important to me. And some people don't like that I do comedy, and that's okay. I'm not for them. And obviously I'm not doing jokes on the floor. That's for the
Yeah,
stage.
absolutely.
I'm coaching, and I'm coaching with intent. And a lot of people in the NFL to coach these guys, you can't yell at them. You're not a. It's not the same type of relationship that you are accustomed to. It's a lot of these guys are grown men. They have families. They got wife at home. They got kids. They have obligations. They have stress. And you got to find out how to meet these guys when you're going through a stressful season. You got to meet, these guys where they're at. So a lot of times I was the one working with all our skill guys in Miami. At that year, 2023, 2024, we had a dynamic skill room with Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill, Odell Beckham Jr., Jalen Waddle. You have to navigate all these personalities, and making these guys laugh is a good way to connect to them. Hey, man, we gonna laugh and have a good time, but you gotta do these squats. You know what I mean? And I gotta get you to squat today. Hey, what you got in you today? What you got for me today? It's meeting them guys where they at and being able to be, as you know, being a strength coach, we're the most adaptable. You should be the most adaptable person in the organization in terms of I could pivot and do this and pivot and do that. And, I just found different things to pivot to get me through this season of not having a job and looking for a job now. And Coach Harold Nash of the Cowboys said this: let your contacts make contacts for you. Let your mentors reach out on your behalf. So, I'm grateful, like I said, to have a lot of people right now reaching out on my behalf. The people, hey, this is a great guy. This would be a good hire for your staff. And like I said, yeah, it's difficult. You got to put yourself out there. I'm not a person that asks for help a lot. And that's something I had to really do in this season. Is like let go of my ego, thinking I could do it all, thinking I got all the answers, because I don't, and really relying and opening myself up to be vulnerable, which comes with two different things. People can judge you or people can help you. Thankfully, I got a lot of people helping me through this journey. So it's been difficult. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been difficult. But at the end of the day, it's always dark before it gets light, you know. And I'm a man of faith. In the beginning, the world was dark, full of void, and God said, let there be light. So there's always darkness before the light comes. Knowing that moving into this next season, I can kind of see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I'm just waiting on that call.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Let's contrast your different experiences because you have a world of
Hmm.
experience. And I think that experience, different, every experience is a learning experience, obviously. And you pull from each experience to basically create the person and the mold that you are today. As a man of faith, myself, I believe all things work together, the good, the bad, for the
Amen.
good of them that love the Lord. So for you, walk me through like the good and the bad of this.
Hmm.
I mean, you were in a space where you were, in University of North Texas.
Hmm.
Obviously, I remember you worked with Coach Woodfin. There were a lot of things you learned in that space. You had your opportunity, which was awesome at Howard, where you were, the director there. You had opportunities to work in the armed forces, XFL, working at Miami, working with the Vikings. I mean, just walk me through. Like, I'm sure each place had its unique thing
Yes, for
that you
sure.
remember and you're like, wow, I remember this. This, all of it, it was tough here, but I remember this thing here. This
Hmm.
this is this is something I took with me from that.
Man, well, let's start at the beginning, man. I played at the University of South Carolina. I was a walk-on there, and the good thing about that, I played under Coach Spurrier, and he had two good strength coaches. Fitzgerald was one of my strength coaches, and then Joe Conley was another one of my strength coaches.
Joe Conley's at Arizona State. Yeah,
Yes,
Arizona State now. Yeah.
Arizona State. Coach Fritz in college, I think he's at BC, Boston College. Think I don't know what Conley, where Fritz is at, Fitzgerald's at, but I mean, I had Coach Fritz and I had Coach Conley, and man, they made the weight room different, man. We competed, the walk-ons, guys that didn't play on Saturdays. We came in Saturday morning, we had competition lifts, and we're doing like this is like CrossFit versus Hunger Games. Okay, we're going at it in the weight room, and we're competing and we're showing up later and cheering on the team, man. It was fun. I had a great time playing under those two strength coaches, but those guys kind of gave me a framework of what a good strength coach looks like and how to relate to players and how to be there for guys. And, they were there for me when I stopped playing. So Coach Conley was the guy who referred me out to Exos. I went to Exos, and I'm so grateful for the Exos for learning the structure of how to plan a movement session. And that's something I didn't have any idea. Coming out of college, just being a player, I know how to lift weights. I didn't know how to program plyos, wall drills, sled drags, bounds, inkling, pogos, all these different things that you could just pull from. Exos gave me a great framework for that. So I'm truly grateful for Exos. And then Exos catapulted me to the Miami Dolphins. They referred me out there where I actually interned for the Dolphins in 2014. And I was under Darren Crine and Dave Paloka, who was the assistant at the time, who is now the head guy in Miami. And, the things I learned from them the most was really stay involved in what's going on as far as, hey, everybody's talking about GPS now. Get on top of that, learn it, research it, live it, breathe it. Everybody's talking about blood flow. Research it, live it, do it, try it. And that was big. Do it, read it, do it, try it, then give it to your athletes. I learned that in Miami as an intern early, and then from there I went on to Southern Miss and got my master's in kinesiology under Coach Woodfin and Coach Sir Jason Finley. That was hard because I had a 1 year master's um, program, and it was cardiac physiology, and there were no multiple choice questions.
I know masters. I got my master's exercise science, and we had to take this, and that's that's a
Yeah,
balanced breakfast, as I would say.
balance in my schedule was the thing I had learned there at Southern Miss because my classes were in the daytime on my master classes, which I had to leave some of the lifts to go to, and the other strength coaches didn't like that. But I had to go to class. Wolfen was a great mentor and a great person to learn from. So I learned a lot of communication skills there and a lot of athlete buy-in from that staff, getting that, making guys work hard for you and toe to the line every day, not over the line, toe to the line, and going, to the edge of the limbs. And we did a lot of continuing education. I really enjoyed my time there. From there, I went to North Texas University as the associate director under Coach Luttrell and Coach Womack. Womack was a beast, man. Womack was a beast. Anybody that knows Coach Womack knows that voice. I mean, Coach Womack is all of 5'5", but man, his voice is like a giant, And he taught me how to project my voice. He taught me how to shout to the whole last one if you wanted to be. you know, he was that gritty, you know, disciplinary, militant type strength coach that still loved on you. He gave me that. And I'm so grateful for my time in North Texas with him. I went through a divorce, went through a hard time in my life. My ex-wife and my two daughters moved back to the Carolinas, and by the grace of God, man, probably 2 weeks after they left, I get a call to go to UNC Charlotte, and lateral move career-wise, but it was a big upgrade and being closer to my daughters, and that's something I'm really take pride in being a dad. And took the job at UNC Charlotte, took a pay cut. That was tough, and we worked there, man. We worked at Charlotte, went to a bowl game that year, and then I had the opportunity to join Crine again in the XFL, hit me with an opportunity that was paying pretty much double what I was getting paid for the half of the time, 6 months for 50K. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll do that. Needed the money at the time, and being closer wasn't really what I thought it would crack up to be. Man, we worked some crazy hours at Charlotte, but enjoyed my time there. Met some dynamic athletes. Alex Highsmith, who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was one of my favorite athletes that I worked with there, and just a plethora of guys. And this is where I also picked up my first mentee. Now I'm the mentor. That was new for me. His name was Denzel Urban. Rest in peace to him. He passed away a couple years ago
I remember.
when I was in Miami, and that was hard because it's the first time I had someone really seek my knowledge and my direction, and I give it to them, and they do it. They apply it. Ran his own business, started his own football league, was crushing it, and passed away from a cardiac event. Man, I always remember him, man. You always remember that, and you got to just keep pouring back in to the people behind you. And man, I hate to get choked up on that, but yeah, man, it's been a journey, man, and then transitioning. into sports science was hard. I didn't really want to do it, even though I was really good at it. I was really good at the data, collecting the data, assimilating the data, implementing the data, telling coaches what it meant, athletes what it meant. I was really, really good at it. And I was getting pushed. Finley, so Jason pushed me so hard. Hey, man, just go be a sports scientist. I'm like, man, I don't want to stop being a strength coach. I want people to know that I'm a strength coach. So, I was afraid at first of just being boxed into being a sports scientist. And when I took the job in Minnesota, that was my role. And I enjoyed it. Sometimes you fear the unknown. You don't know what it's going to look like. So you fear that. Minnesota probably was the one of my favorite spots that I've been because there I was giving pretty much free reign to do whatever I wanted to do in the areas of sports science and performance. Shout out to Rich Spillman, the GM who hired me. I was hired by the GM in
Oh wow.
Minnesota, and I interviewed with him. Then I interviewed with the strength staff, and then all my reports, everything that I did, went to the GM first, and then it went to the coaching staff. And that was an interesting dynamic. Rick has his master's in physiology as well, so it was first time working with a GM who knew science.
Who actually knows what's going on?
Yeah, and he wanted to know, and wanted to know everything. He was I was in all the meetings. I was running meetings. I was giving my reports. So that was a big moment in my career for me as far as learning how to sit at a table and give a report to everybody in the room. And man, I was thrown in the fire, but I appreciate Josh Hinks, who was the strength coach at that time. I'm used to going to team meetings and sitting there and being quiet. So now I'm the one in the team meeting presenting in team meetings to the players at the Vikings. Man, that was amazing, man. I loved Minnesota. Minnesota was a great place. But again, I'm always moving to be closer to my daughter. So my youngest daughter, her mom, they moved down to Orlando, her and her husband. So at the time, the GM had got fired, head coach had got fired. So when you see these things happening, sometimes we don't even know as staff. Like I'm riding into work and I see on ESPN, we hearing it, it's coming to your phone as you're going to work sometimes. Hey,
That's
GM and head coach
crazy.
is
That's
let go.
crazy. Like
Yeah. So,
I've never so I've thought about like the turnover, and I don't mean to interrupt you because I want to
mhm.
keep going to Miami. Finding out that people that hired you that are in your organization are no longer there from a news network for sports, completely mind blowing. It's just like, wow, okay. Adam
Yeah,
Schefter reports that
the
such
GM
and
and the
such is
head coach
gone.
has been let
And you
go.
like,
I mean, to me, you kind of get a sense if you don't make the playoffs, like I said, you kind of something's gonna happen. So, you're very fortunate to get 2 or 3 years. People that's been there, I mean, kudos to Dave Paloka's been in Miami for 18 seasons now. I mean, that's legendary. You
Richard
don't
Howell, he's
Richard
been
Howard,
with the Colts
legend.
for since, man, he might have been there before I was born. He gonna hate me if I say
Yeah.
that. But no, I mean, he's been there for a minute.
Yes, yes, yes. You got your guys is there and just know they know they're gonna be safe, And I hope to be that one day for some organization. But yeah, man, it's sudden change. And then in my case in Minnesota, I got hired by the GM, so I'm like, oh man, what am I gonna do? But fortunately we signed a 2-year contract, so I had another year left on my contract. Could have stayed. New GM comes in. The players, man, the NFL, the players' voice matters. The players went to bat for us as a strength and conditioning staff. I'm talking Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook at the time, Kirk Cousins. They all go to owners and leadership like, hey, we want the strength coaches to stay whatever changes you make. And that's cool when that happens.
That
I
is
know the
cool.
report cards come out now. We get graded A's and B's, and that year in Minnesota was an A. And then I went to Miami, we're an A again, for the players that report on how well they're treated by the strength and conditioning staff, the program, things of that nature. Players report on that now. They have an NFLPA report card that comes out at the end of every season, and how guys enjoy facilities, dining, all kind of like 13 metrics, and got A's in both places. So, and guys, they're standing on the table for you. So that's cool to know. Also to know you got another year in your contract. So that helps versus in this case where I'm sitting at now when my contract expired, not knowing if I was going to go on another contract. You're kind of given like, hey, you kind of can see some stuff going down, but you're present, you're working, you're not focused on if I'm gonna have a job or not. So it's just part of the business, I would say. It's high risk, high reward. You're at the top of the game. This is the NFL. There's gonna be a lot of changes, even as we're seeing in college now. A lot of changeover, a lot of changeover is gonna happen. People want to win now. They don't want to wait. So,
You got
I
1 2 years tops, 2 years, two
got
years,
two.
and then all of a sudden, it could be we're looking at what happens next. I think the interesting thing, and this is something that I have had conversations with you about, conversations with several coaches, is that you have a lot of really, really talented, really, really knowledgeable coaches that may still get let go.
Hmm.
And in many cases, it may not even have to do with your what you've brought to the table. It could just be outside circumstances because of
Yeah.
the fact that you've had yourself might have been outstanding in your role, but there just may have been circumstances outside of your control in some cases that would have affected whether or not you were retained or whether or not they decided to keep you in that type of direction. How do you reconcile that? Like as a coach, how did you reconcile with that? I mean, I know you said, be where your feet are, obviously allowing yourself to be grounded in your faith, but I know that there are a lot of coaches out there that may listen to this that might be in that situation that may be thinking, man, was it something I did? Did I not do well? Did I not show up and give 100 every day? If you're talking to them, what would you say?
I would say evaluate yourself first. It was things that I could have definitely done better, and in every spot I've been, and some things I did great. What I did is kind of write down, okay, these areas you need to improve in. These are areas that you're strong in, and work on those weaknesses, but lead with your strengths. So you have to lead what you're strong at. All right. I'm a people person, obviously. I'm a communicator. I'm an orator. I can control a room with my voice. The other side of it, of the coin, of where I got to get better at, is my scheduling, my organization, my behind the scenes stuff, not letting stuff sneak up on me last minute. Um, with the reports, man, a metric goes wrong. Now I'm in there trying to figure this metric out for hours on now to miss the window to go talk to a coach about a player he had a question about, and I'm trying to get the data together, and now I'm going to go coach, and then I got to come, so not stretching yourself too thin. I think a lot of people do that on their jobs, and that's something I definitely did. Probably my second year in Miami was just did everything, man. I was running the music at practice. I'm running the GPS at practice. I'm stretching guys at practice. Hey, you can't do it all. You gotta gotta allow people to help you,
I
man.
gotta say, man, maybe if you want to put this as a joke, but if you could just the visual, you on
Yes.
the turntable as a DJ,
I'm stretching
and
the
then going
guys.
and then going
Stretching the
and
guys.
stretching somebody up, stretching somebody out on the field, and going and
Changing
grabbing them some water.
Getting the iPad, changing periods at practice right now. Oh, that look like a top speed. Writing these down. All right. It's just so
It's like
much,
it's like
man.
Coach Johnson on ones and twos. Hold on 1 second.
Yes, literally, that was me. And I thank Coach Below for giving me grace, man. I was all over the place probably my second year, just trying to be everything for everybody, and you try to
Mhm.
overcompensate sometimes. I know everybody kind of does it in their own ways, but that was just my way because I'm just very ingrained with the guys and the culture. Obviously, being from a lot of the backgrounds where these players are from, I know what music they want to listen to. I know what they want to hear. Sometimes that don't matter. Sometimes we just need to work.
Sometimes you just get to work in.
Sometimes you don't even need music. You just need to work. You just need to work. Just coming to grips with that and learning that, you just got to evaluate yourself and see what you got to get better at. And that's something that's hard to do, but you got to look in that mirror and say, okay, what can I have been better at? Obviously, there's things I could have been better at in every place that I've been, but I've also done a good job. So not taking away your good, but also just saying, hey, these are things I need to work on and confront, get better, and let's go again.
I will say, so a couple questions I have for you. First, in going into the sports science route, have you always been a data person? How did you handle that learning curve?
Man,
Now, I mean, I know that we're in a world where you have certifications for this and you have
Mhm.
master's degrees in sports science. I'm imagining some of those things probably were not things when you came in. So your ability to kind of like self teach yourself how to put these systems in place to do this at an elite level, walk me through what did that look like?
Man, it was fun actually, man. When I got to the Dolphins in 2014, get hired one of the first people to hire a sports scientist from Australia. His name was Dave Regan. His brother was one of the high position guys at Catapult. As you know, it was founded in Australia. So we bring him on the staff, and then I was basically his assistant as an intern. So from there, I got really good with Excel, VLOOKUPs, pivot tables, different things like that. I had to just learn on the fly. Once I got good at that, I just really copied and pasted and just got better at it and started looking it up. Then they came out with Excel for strength coaches. Got into that book. Yeah, like you said, just self-taught myself a lot of statistics, standard deviations. I'm having to go back to math class, man, in high school to really like, okay, this is a deviation above, this is a decrement, just terms that we are not really accustomed to that, you kind of forgot about. And I'm just diving into that and getting into it. And obviously with the emergence of GPS and force plates and VBT, everything, I kind of was just going along with as it was coming out when Brian Mann released all his research from Missouri. I was in North Texas during that time. So we had Tendo units. So I started with Tendos, okay, and it worked out very well there. Then I moved to UNC Charlotte. We have Elite Form. So I was like, oh, cool. Now I got Elite Form. Then I go to Minnesota. Now we have GymAware. Okay, now I'm really getting good with GymAware. Then, okay, I moved so every place we went, it was like something. Every place I went, it was something new to learn. Like in Minnesota, in UNC Charlotte, when I ran my reports through Power BI, I got good at Power BI. Go to Minnesota, we don't use Power BI, we use Tableau. Okay, you got to use Tableau. We're not using Power BI. Cool. Now I got to learn Tableau. Learn Tableau. Boom. Get to Miami. We use Rock Daisy. We don't use Tableau. Okay. Y'all don't use Power BI either. No. Oh, everything goes through Rock Daisy. Okay. Boom. Now I learned Rock Daisy. Minnesota, we use Connect Sign because the GM, the owners were intertwined with Connect Sign. So I'm learning Connect Sign. At Howard, I had Stat Sports. Minnesota, I go back to Miami, it's Catapult again, and it's Zebra. Now I'm on Zebra, now I'm learning. It's just every place I went, I just dove into whatever they had, I had to make it work. I had to learn the system. From Hawkins to Force Decks to it didn't matter. You can learn anything. You can teach yourself anything. These companies all have resources for you to learn. And they have people that want to walk you through how to use the stuff. And I'm the one of these people I'm gonna call. Hey, what's this metric? How do I'm
If I
gonna
press this
call.
button, what does it do?
Yes, I'm gonna call and I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna be on the phone with your customer service because I got a coach and a player waiting on this report at my door, and I got to be able to explain it. Because if you can't explain it, there ain't no reason to tracking
Gotcha.
it.
You set up the program at the Vikings for Minnesota, and they gave you a lot of control to determine what was there in terms of sports science. How did you determine what equipment was necessary for players in terms of what you wanted to track?
Again, whatever they had at their
Okay.
disposal that they were already implementing, right? They didn't have a full-time sports scientist, but they did have things in place. They did have, they did have the GPS already running. They just never reported it to coaches. They did have the force plays. They did have the VBT. So anytime I went anywhere, I was just basically implementing how I disseminate the information, how I pass this information out to people. I was just taking that system basically everywhere I went. My reporting of coaches, and which is simple, keep it simple. Simple is sweet. Everybody likes simple. You have all these dashboards and all these metrics and meters. Nobody wants to see all that. They want to know, are my guys getting better? What do we do? What can we do better? And that's kind of how I build my reports. And then I give my observations to the coaches and my suggestions, and then we meet about it. And that's kind of how that program got running. And it was beautiful. It was great. You know, you getting the OC sitting down with the receivers coach. I'm sitting down with the DB coach saying, hey, we're not getting enough yards and individual. Can we add some drills so they can get some high speed yardage before they get the team pass? The receivers already have this high speed yardage getting into it. So they're coming in with a warmer engine than these guys. So if we could do a drill, switch, and it's all about that communication and not thinking I know everything, just saying, hey, this is something I see. Can we address it? Or, also, hey, this guy ran you know, his 90% of his max speed, he runs 22 miles per hour. 90% of that is 21.7. He's hit that 20 times in practice. He hit it 20 times in the game. Hey, okay, we might need to look at some interventions for this guy. Maybe that's an intervention in the weight room. Okay, maybe that's a intervention with his diet. Maybe that's an intervention. Then we get down. Maybe that's an intervention with the plays that he's running in practice. And we kind of go through all those things before we get to the coordinator, position coach, what they need to change. And first, what can we change to help this guy as we see his load increasing over time?
So if you're a coach and you're listening to this and you don't have a sports science program already established at your school, we are seeing it roll all the way down from professional to division two, three, and AIA, and even some JUCOs that are starting to implement this technology. Where would you suggest a person start? If they're strength coach, they just got their job, they're seeing that this is a trend, or not a trend, but you're seeing the industry shifting this way to utilizing certain systems to make more informed decisions when it comes to load, player management, practice periods, how we even train our players, and and are they even recovering enough? Where would you suggest a person who's a complete novice in this start?
Oh, that's a great question, man. That's a great question. A lot of these companies offer trials and free trials and stuff. Um, and then again, I would just, if I'm trying to implement a sports science program, I'm just gonna start with what can probably help me make the most change the quickest. What do I feel like the team needs the most of? If that's your practices being tracked, and start on that route. Is if that's knowing bar speeds and where guys making a force velocity profile for guys that could be through VBT in the weight room. And you can also do things without any data. Have guys run flying 10 and you record that time and then you record it back in. And it's different things that you could do formula wise to figure out guys. You don't have the technology doing it for you, but you can get into force velocity profiling the guys on your own. You could get into a vertical jump with counter movement versus non-counter movement to see difference in how guys load and express force, if they're more elastic or if they generate more power or if they need more rate of force development. These are things you can kind of see, as we know in literature, through different other tests that require many. You don't need a force test for that, but it's just more work.
Yeah.
And most time you don't have time to do more work to get these metrics. So I would just start small, start with where you think you could start at on anything. And like I said, it's just different. It's different ways to go about it.
That's great. I appreciate you providing that. As we're about to close, first on, I want to obviously thank you for your time. I mean, I know you're in the process right now of potentially landing other opportunities. I know, you're just kind of open to what is available and out there for you. What's next, man? Like, I know you got comedy going on still. I know that you've been doing some things on your own, and I know that you're
Mhm.
putting yourself out there. What would you say the next step is for you, both professionally, and then I would also ask you, what type of things are you doing from a developmental standpoint as you're trying to develop while in this season too?
Great question, man. What I'm trying to do to develop in this season is speak more. I think I'm at a point now in my career where I got a few things I could talk about. I don't know everything, but I've been through some changes, especially in the areas of sports science and the communication of the sports science and how we can get better at that. I don't think that's a piece that's covered enough is reporting the sports science. And I look to get in more spaces and talk about that and show my reports and show my dashboards. I'm about to start pretty much showing my work, if that makes sense. See a lot of coaches out there doing it now, blacking out names and stuff like that. But showing my data and the things I do. What's next when it comes to my comedy? I'm gonna just keep doing stand up. Probably, obviously when I'm in season, focus on football in season. But when the off season comes, I'll see if I can get back on the road, do a couple shows here and there. And stand up is a thing that is such a good art, man. It's one of the hardest art forms in the world. And you're just getting up there, you're just sharing stories and you're storytelling basically. And it's just helped me so much, man, with being able to story tell on data and different things like that and keep attention. And that's all you're trying to do in stand up is a lot of people think you got to just be funny. It's not about being funny all the time. Most times it's about being light. Because if you like me, you'll laugh. If you don't like me, you're not gonna laugh, no matter how funny what I said is. So, likability is huge, and just professionally, just trying staying in. Like you said, all the sports science information is coming out now, so I'm reading those books, and I'm gonna take the sports science test. And I think Mark Lewis from Houston, Texas, and Adam Fry, I want to say, just came out with another sports science book.
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm about to buy that book and read that and just see kind of different perspectives, man. We all do things a little differently. I don't do sports science better than the next person. I just come with my ideas and the way I do things, and someone else might do that a little differently. At the end of the day, it's all about the athlete. So just trying to make sure I'm continuously trying to develop the athlete. If that's through communicating better and my stand up helping, is that through my sports science, reaching more people and more people reaching out to me. And please reach out to me. I'm an open book. I'll get back to you when I can. If I don't, that means I have my daughters. They keep me busy. They have me running more than anything. But outside of that, man, I just love helping people. I love people. I'm a people person, and I've always been that. I'm the guy in the facility that's dapping everybody up. I used to get called the mayor back in Miami, um, as an intern.
Mayor Woods.
Yeah, man. So man, I just love people. I just love to help, and I just love to be an asset anywhere I can be. So again, man, I appreciate it, and look, I look forward to what's next. I don't know what's next, but I know that God has a plan for us all, and to prosper and not harm us.
Absolutely, man. And then, we'll bring you back on, obviously. I mean, it's just an ongoing conversation. Where can people find you to
Man,
connect with you?
you can find me at the APCA conference, February 21st.
Yes.
That's a little plug on that. We got
Plug
some
on that.
dynamic speakers that's going to be there in Atlanta, Georgia. Make sure y'all come out. This is our fourth, I want to say.
4 years strong.
Fourth,
Yeah,
fourth
4 years.
conference, man. We started
That's
this.
crazy.
We started this during COVID, and that was one of my first sports science presentations that I gave was on that APCA call. We did Zoom calls and got a lot of good feedback off that presentation. So I plan to take that presentation everywhere now, and develop it more and present more. I want to be a speaker at NCA, NSCA events and CSCCA events. So I'm looking more to move into the speaking realm. I did a conference, the Power Conference with Coach Woodfin out in Nashville. I was a speaker on that. Hip mobility. I also have my FRC as well. So again, I'm just always just trying to diversify myself. I think the age old tale is like better to be a master of one than a jack of all trades, but a jack of all trades is better than a master of one. I don't think everybody finished that quote all the
Mm,
way out. So I'm just trying to keep sharpening my axe in every dimension that I can, even comedy, even coaching. So I enjoy it all, yeah, and especially fatherhood, mentorship, and then trying to mentor and also have mentors. So anybody ever needs some mentorship, you can find me on Instagram at coach_J Woods. That is my coaching page. Trying to get better at separating the two lanes. That's been hard. And then my comedy, you can find me at Laugh Coach for my comedy. That's Laugh Coach_ for my comedy stuff. So appreciate the time, Coach. Can't wait
I
to see you in
appreciate you, man.
person.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much for hopping on. Everyone, I encourage you to tap in with him. He is actually one of my mentors, as I mentioned before, and he's been instrumental in my career trajectory. So I can tell you, he's definitely a person that you would want in your ecosystem. Thank you so much for hopping on, Coach. Again, we are wrapping up the AAPCA podcast, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
peace. Yeah, love.